and welcome. I'm John, and this is Unique Wargaming Terrain. This is the weekly Wednesday Warhammer / Wargaming questions and answers. This is an off-the-cuff video, guys, for those of you who are new. What that means is I record it. There might be some transitions, but not this week. But I record the video and I upload it. I don't do no editing, no fancy little sparkly things or nothing like that. The weekly Wednesdays are all model focused. So you ask me questions, I answer them. Even if you think, oh, silly questions, shouldn't answer it, ask it, because you can never have too much information about any sort of subjects. Those of you that are new here, guys, sit back, enjoy. I hope this helps you. Regulars here, guys, have a little love. So let's get started, shall we? Okay, first question. Asking about my painting videos. Right, well, I still haven't grabbed the light yet because I'm trying to source a 3D printer at the moment. I'll talk about it in a second. But when I do get the light, I am going to be doing a painting video once a week, every 2 weeks, something like that. I'm going to aim for one hero or one unit or one monster / vehicle, in a week or 10 days or whatever way it works out. Okay. I've got stuff here. I won't be filming me painting this because I'm already halfway through this stuff, and I just don't feel I'd be cheating you when it's already half done. So there's that one. But when I say conversions as well, it's going to be for those of you that watched how to make the cheap jump packs, the easy flying stands. In that video I had some screamers I put together, and I'm going to turn that into doom prints of some description. They're still sitting there and they haven't touched that. So that would be in that type of video. That's what I would bring up and say, okay, this is what we'll do now, and you'll see me convert it and do bits and pieces and green stuff and blah blah blah, gravel undercoat, etc. So, but that's going to be coming soon. But I'm trying to source a 3D printer now. What I'm trying to do with 3D printer is, I've seen them for, where I live in Provoke Island, I've seen them for 200 quid, 250 quid. Okay. I actually saw a Mars 2 for 200 quid, 220, something like that. But because I'm making that game, I need the filament one, so that's what I'm aiming for first of all. So I'm just trying to source where to get from, how ready available the filament is, and all that business. Like, do I have to order it in like a month or so in advance, or I don't like ordering stuff online, as you guys know, because I ordered stuff from GW, they've sent it, UPS, UPS have lost the parcel. So now they're having to investigate it. Then they're going to have to reimburse me the money. Well, all this whole time, GW is now open. I could go into Dublin and pick it up. Anyway, different story. Mixing, should I mix paint pots up? Right. Well, the thing is with mixing paints, you can mix a paint to get the desired colour you want. Okay. The problem with that is, if you're mixing a paint for a certain unit and you don't mix up enough, say you got units, 10 guys or 20 guys or whatever, and you're mixing paint up to go on those models, and you don't mix up enough, the next time you mix that colour, it's going to be slightly different to what you've already done. My advice would be, use a wet palette. Okay, because you can mix the colour and get the colour you want, and then if you need to add more to make more of the colour, you can easily do it. Okay, it's probably just as easy to use a wet palette every time. You should be using a wet palette anyway when you're painting. It's a lot easier, but it's a lot easier just to use a wet palette to mix the two colours up to paint on your guys, and then the following week, following month, whatever, you're painting another unit for that army and you need the same colour again, just mix colour again. You might get a little variation, but it's not going to be as much as if you were trying to mix up a whole pot of paint. And okay, wet palette is a good one. Those who use those, what's a wet palette? It's basically, I've covered this before, but just in case before someone does that, this is a lid from a plastic cake box. Okay, you can see there's a little dip in there. So what you do is you put a piece of kitchen roll in there, grease your paper over the top, you'll wet it so the kitchen roll's damp. It keeps the greaseproof paper moist, so you put paint on there, the paint doesn't dry off, it stays there. You can easily move it around on the greaseproof paper because it won't stick to the greaseproof paper. That's a mouthful. Right, so that's that covered before someone asks me. What do I do with my plastic sprues? Now, those are regulars here, you'll see me use bits of sprue here and there for different terrain builds and stuff like that. Now, as you can see, this is what's left on Giants kit. You can see I've been hacking bits away and everything else. These are perfect for beams and, you know, stuff like that. I've seen people cut bits out, say like these bits here in the middle, okay, and then cut the side bits like this bit off here and just have it as a, do I have clippers here? No, they're over there somewhere. I can't jump up and grab them. Do I not have clippers here? I'm going to just quickly give you a quick demonstration. Okay, I won't give you a demonstration. So basically you just cut this off and you'd have like a little block like this. Yeah, I've seen people use that to make terrain bits, okay, like ruined buildings and stuff. Just, these are very handy to keep. Now, I wouldn't keep them like this or like how I have them here, okay. It's like this piece here, yeah, where are we? I would get your clippers and snap that piece, snip it there, and just keep that length, okay. And try and keep them a straight length so you can use them for anything. There are a few other YouTube channels and a few, you know, Facebook groups that actually just use sprues and they just will make buildings out of sprues. Just, they're always handy to keep. But if you get yourself some sort of plastic jar, you can snip them and just put more in the plastic jar. They're all in one place. They're handy to get to. You've got a lid on so they don't fall out everywhere. You know, these actually perfect. Apart from lowering our carbon footprint, you know, reusing all the plastic jars. It's, you know, it's handy and easier. Okay, how many paintbrushes should I have? Right, well, it's a difficult question to answer really, because here's my paint brushes. Okay, you can see I've got all different types. That's what, like, really fine dry brushing. I've got this is a layer brush from GW, which I don't really use. This is another brush for dry brushing. You can see all the bristles. So the bristles on that are all mangled to bits. Okay, we've got this big brush that I use for different bits and pieces. These are the two brushes that I use to paint models. Okay, there's another very small brush. It's like a dry brush, very, very small. I have them ones, yeah. Now I have these other ones that I haven't used yet. I forgot I had them. Look, I checked those out. Huh? Now, I haven't used these yet, but as you can see right inside these bristles, all different size bristles. So, to answer your question, how much is too much? You know, if you use the brushes, it's not a problem. If you don't use them and you're just holding them, then there's no, you know. I've got two brushes over here. Now these ones are stiff as anything. Well, that one's not at all flexible, but this one's stiff as anything. Now I use them when I'm doing the gravel on the base of the models. So what I do is I put PVA glue on the base and use one of those just to brush it around, move it around, the stiff one. And then I grab it or herp it in my, you know, the model in gravel. So I've got, where are we? Gravel on the model. Can you see that? The light's not too great. Anyway, that's what I do with my brushes. Now, you get to a point where your brush just goes a little bit like that. Okay, it's all fluffy at the end top, and you know, it looks, apart from dry brushing, that's not going to be good for anything. Here's a little trick. You can either just turn it straight into a PVA brush, okay, it's not a problem. But what I do is I get clippers and I snip it, okay, at an angle towards the top to make it a point, and then snip the point to give you a nice, a bit more use from the brush. It's not going to give you the brush to last forever, but it's still a bit more use. So if you're paying 8 or 10 quid for a brush and you've got it for 6 months and then it gets a bit mangled and you give it a trim down, yeah, another 3 or 4 months out of it, you're going almost a year from one brush. You know, I don't know how many models you're painting a week or a month or whatever, but that's, to me, that's pretty sweet. But then with brushes, that's one thing, but then you've also got an airbrush. Now, for those of you that have not used an airbrush, use it. You know, get yourself one, fantastic. I was using one until it just clogged out on me, and it was one of these portable ones where you just need to charge the battery and then take it up and away you go. Now the problem with that is I took it all apart, cleaned it all out, and it was just, there was something wrong that I didn't know. I didn't have the technical savvy to sort it out. It was spitting the paint out, then it wasn't putting any paint out, then it was putting the paint out, and it was really like doing that. Needle was clean, this was all right, the trigger was okay and everything else, and the trigger then stopped working. So when I'm pulling the trigger back to make it spray, it's not spraying. It's not, it's just no spring on it, no catch on it at all. So I said, you know what, look, I have to go. So I'm going to be getting a new airbrush and an actual compressor that I can plug in and just have it over here being noisy, but I won't be able to film with the airbrush, making noise because it's too noisy. But listen, sorry, I'm just waffling on again. So your brushes, airbrush. Get yourself an airbrush, guys. Now you're talking about 60 or 70 quid for the compressor. Not a problem. The airbrush you can get, anything from 12 quid to maybe 30, 40, 50 quid. Obviously, the more expensive you get, the more bits you're going to get for it. The more sort of, I say high tech. It's not really high tech, but the more life you're going to get from it, better quality of the materials inside, inside the airbrush. But the cheaper one does the same thing, because if you get the cheaper one and you plug the hose into the compressor and you're airbrushing away, you're putting your cleaning fluid in, cleaning it all out and everything else, your medium in for the next colour and blah, 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 blah. I say you only get to airbrush 50 models with it, okay, before it's just knackered and you need to change this or change that, and it's just cheaper to buy a new one. Then just buy a new one. The most expensive part of the airbrush is the compressor. So once you have a good compressor, 60 or 70 quid, the airbrush, if you buy a 12 quid one, 13 quid, 15 quid, whatever it is, and you use it 50 models, and it's knackered, right out, get a new one. I'll get two of them at the same time, so you can use one until that's knackered, throw that one out, put the new one on, and then get another one so you got one spare. That's what I would do. Well, that's what I'm going to do. So guys, answer those questions. Yeah. So guys, this is a Weekly Wednesday. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope any bit of information is helpful to you guys. Any questions you have, chuck them below, or message me on Messenger, as quite a lot of you often do. Doesn't matter, I'll answer your question. I'll put your question up and I'll answer it anyway. Guys, like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications, and I'll see you. Well, you'll probably see the terrain build up at the weekend. I'm not behind on it. I've just had to slow myself down because I've actually gone a bit over the top with it. And I'm not going to give you any sneaky peeks because it's over there, and I'm going to surprise you when you see it. So guys, I'll see you next week.